The player mat is where you will have to manage your resources and time specialists between the past and the present. But before you can do that, you will need an economy. The main board is where you will create an economic engine to propel your nation to victory. The main board has a variable setup, and you won't know where resources are at the beginning of the game. But even within this variable setup, there are many choices on how to build your economic engine. How many choices? Well, when you factor in 3 income tiers, 1 to 3 mining colonies, 1 to 2 space freighters, 2 types of resources, 8 types of planets, multiple pickups with each ship, the use of wormholes, and combinations of all of these, you get hundreds of possible economic engine setups, all with various pros and cons. We could bore you with a 3-page spreadsheet of calculations, but we want you to have fun discovering these setups on your own, and find your favorites. Right now, we'll give you a quick peek at one possible setup, and then go over some pros and cons to consider. Here is a setup we call T9 P5T2 Variation 1, which uses minimum wormholes on T9. With this setup, in 4 turns a player will receive 11 Tauronite cubes and 5 Zelenium cubes. This player has 2 space freighters. On his first turn, he will pay 1 Zelenium cube to open a wormhole between Earth and an inner planet, and move one of his space freighters 2 spaces to end up at the middle planet. With his other freighter, he will move 1 space. On his second turn, the player will move each of his space freighters 1 more space and reach the planets. He will collect 9 Tauronite cubes from the outer planet and 5 Zelenium cubes from the middle planet. On turn 3, the player will move one of his space freighters from the outer planet 1 space back towards Earth. The other space freighter he will move to the inner planet, where he will collect an additional 2 Tauronite cubes. On turn 4, he will pay 1 Zelenium cube to open a wormhole between Earth and an inner planet, so that he can move his space freighter 2 spaces back to Earth. His other freighter can move 1 space and return to Earth as well. With this particular setup, you will now have enough Zelenium cubes to keep this engine going, and enough left over to time travel 3 times. You will also have enough Tauronite cubes to pay 2 time specialists, and enough left over to spend on something else you would like to purchase or save up your money. Four turns may seem like a lot, but remember, while your space freighters move on the main board, your time ship and specialists will be traveling through time to prevent disasters. The trick is to time it perfectly so that when your time ship returns to the present, you will have collected enough resources to time travel right away again. Remember, this is a race. Now let's look at some of the pros and cons of the different income tiers. The most obvious being, the further a planet is from Earth, the richer its deposits. The flip side to this is that the further away a planet is from Earth, the longer it takes to collect the resources. Wormholes are more expensive for outer planets, cheaper for middle planets, and no wormholes are needed for inner planets. If you collect from an outer planet, you may not pick up from other planets on your route. If you collect from a middle or inner planet, you may pick up from other planets on your route. This will limit you to carrying one type of resource from outer planets, but you can carry multiple resource types at once from middle or inner planets. Having colonies on outer planets also makes you a bigger target from other players, whereas if you have colonies on middle planets or inner planets, you will be less of a target. And finally, if one of your colonies happens to get destroyed by another player, it will take much longer to rebuild the further you are from Earth. Keep an eye out for more of our upcoming videos, and don't forget to subscribe and share.